Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Tuesday, March 27th, and this will be our chart lesson for today. And this is going to be a rather quick chart lesson today. It was really a slow, choppy day. There was a nice sell-off late in the afternoon, if you were able to catch that, and it really didn't set up till right in here, which was just before the, and I didn't mark it, it was just before the 230 cutoff, but it was, if you caught it, it was a good trade. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it real quick, just in case you want to come back and look at this. But we pretty much had this little tight channel coming down through here. It was only a couple of points wide at the most. And if you drew it was kind of hard to find in the beginning, but it was really there right before the open if you use these couple of swings right here. And sometimes you use the closes, and sometimes you need to use the actual stems, and you just have to play around with it and see what looks the best. And so I'm always checking and rechecking my trend lines, and you need to do that too, just to make sure that you got it in the right place. But generally, if you're in the right vicinity, you don't even have to get it exactly right, and you're going to be okay. And you could have looked at it, if you looked at it like this, that was a trend, and then a break, and then a couple of legs down, then we went into this little range. So even if you saw it like that, that was okay. It probably would have got you to the same spot. As you see, all of these setups and entries were right along the EMA, and that's what you're looking for. When the prices are trending down, you're looking for setups around the EMA, preferably second entries. And this was really the first setup after the open, a nice double top with a second entry short right here, and that was a great setup. Your next one was just another pullback to test that high again and to test the trend line if you saw it, and it was another easy setup. So these were two real quick trades, and this was all the trading I did today. I had some other things going on and I had to leave, and so I missed all this, but I went ahead and marked it on the chart just to show you what I saw after the fact. And you got another second entry short that triggered right here coming off this trend line again, and as long as you kept your stop above the signal bar, everything was good. But if you didn't take this one, that's okay, because by the time it triggered, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overlapping bars, so it wasn't a great setup. But when prices ticked higher here first and then turned down, that was a good trigger for a short right there based on that trap. And so that was the better place to enter. But if you entered over here, no big deal. I can understand why you like that setup. I probably would have taken it myself. But if you didn't keep your stop above the signal bar, you probably would have got stopped out. Or at least, even if you kept it above the entry bar, you were okay. It was only if you tightened it right here that you really would have gotten stopped out. So hopefully you didn't do that, even if you entered below this bar, and even if you tighten your stop. I generally recommend that you keep it a tick or two above the signal bar, no more than 2 points. And then if you are not really good with the price action, you might tighten it to just above the actual entry bar, which would have been this bar. But if you start tightening it any more than that, you just get stopped out on noise. So that's probably my recommendation and what I think is best. Unless you're just getting it wrong all the time, then, you know, and if you're having that, you're probably losing even if you get it right first. So but again, you could have entered here or here. This was the better entry because of all these overlapping bars, and you see prices struggle and actually broke higher before they turned down again. So those were three really good setups right out of the gate, and if you caught those, you should have had 5 or 6 points in your well, I'd say anywhere from 3 to 6 points in the bag right out of the gate. And so there was another setup right here. I didn't mark this one because we came off this double bottom and we had a lot of overlapping bars. Again, there's an inside bar. If you took it, I believe there was enough room to scalp out, but I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to tell looking at that. I'm not going to spend the time because I've got to make this really quick today. I didn't mark that trade because we came off this double bottom. As you notice, we had kind of a triple bottom across here, and this is a failed break lower and a double bottom, so it's kind of a reversal type pattern. And even though we were in this, there was a good chance we may go higher and break the trend line here. So for that reason, I didn't mark it. You can just really see we were really starting to get overlapped in here, and even though we broke lower, that's good enough to be a failed break lower when prices just hung around there and didn't go on lower. But this was the first break, and this was a second entry short right here. Here's your first entry short, and then your second entry short, and this is coming off another kind of higher resistance area, and it was the first break of the trend line. So this was another good setup. It struggled to go lower again, but we're looking for a retest of this low. And if you notice this right here, this is actually one leg, and then you had a correction, and you had your second leg, which is kind of a measured leg. And our minimum target was back down here to where the previous low was, and that's exactly where we got with that one tick trap. So if you went long right there, that was a good trade too. Expected prices to come back up and test this high. I didn't mark it because there are several overlapping bars and the trend was down, but we had this trend line break and two measured legs down to a new low. So if you saw that, that's okay. And it was a pretty good trade back up to the other side. So this is really looking like a trading range by this point all the way across here. So it was okay to go long here if you took that, if you saw it. I didn't mark it because it's not a great setup and you need to be pretty good to spot that one. But if you did see it, good job, and I don't have any problem with you taking that trade. This one was the last one that, again, I didn't mark. And you can see there's just so many overlapping bars here that this is really dangerous. But when prices ticked higher here and then immediately reversed and closed on the low, that's a nice second entry. Here's your first entry short. Here's your correction. Here's a second attempt to go short and then a second attempt to go higher. So it's really kind of a double trap there. But that coming off these highs, a double top here with this nice bearish reversal bar, that's a great place. Again, assuming that prices are at least going to come down and probably test the low end of this range again. And we actually went quite a bit lower. So if you caught that, you know, it's probable you would have exited in here. I know I probably would have, and unless I held some runners, I would have probably exited in here. And but if you caught that and rode it all the way to the close, that was a great job. But it got a little hairy right here with all these overlapping bars, and this is kind of an area where you expect prices to maybe reverse out and just be a trap, but that didn't happen, and prices did continue lower. So you almost needed a runner to survive this unless you were really gambling, because you know, looking at that, I would have expected prices to probably bounce and come back up again right there, but it didn't happen. And so if you caught that trade, it was a great move, but it was too late after this to enter anymore, really. So no entries down here. You had to already pretty much be in this trade to catch this realistically without being a gambler. And you know, we're not gamblers. We don't make money when we gamble. But let me back out of this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pretty good entries, and there were some other entries in here, but these are the 6 key entry points that we normally talk about. So hopefully you saw those today. These were the really good ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. This was a good one, but it was really starting to get questionable here when we bounced off that trend line. But generally, unless it's a real short-term trend line, we're gonna, you know, it's gonna end up making a new low on the retest, or at least making close to, you know, coming down and testing that previous low. And that's what happened here. And again, there was a long right there if you saw it and if you took it. I didn't mark it because it's not a great setup, but if you saw it and took it, nothing wrong with that long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decent entries today. These first 3 were really good, and even though they didn't go very far, they were fairly simple trades, fairly easy to see. A downtrending market, pullbacks to the EMA and our trend line, and that's what we're looking for, and to make money. So, and this was another one here. Let me just see real quick before I call it a day. If you entered below that bar, you would have entered at 14.11. Yeah, that would have been a failure right there. And so I definitely probably would have reversed out of this. It probably would have been wise if you entered right here and prices broke lower and came up and then ended right there again. It would have been, especially when that ended as a doji, it would have been wise to go ahead and take whatever this trade would give you, because it's getting so close to here. And actually, by the time you entered 1411, there really wasn't enough room to scalp out before getting to that low. So that really wasn't a very good setup. And that's another reason I didn't mark it. So, but anyway, that's what we had for today. Sorry, I got to make this one quick today, but I've had some things going on and didn't get to trade much today, and didn't even think I was going to be able to come in and do a chart lesson, but I want to try to get that out there for folks. So anyway, hope you had a good trading day, and we'll try to do it again tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com.